Alright, so I'm going to be doing a review of Warlock Rebirth. This is another book from the Marvel Haul that Chris sent me. Chris, thank you once again. And again, this is another one of those Lost Eras kind of stories. This is basically written by Ron Marz with artwork by Ron Lim. And yeah. So, this comic, like I said, is one of those Lost Eras kind of stories. This is set in, like, the late 80s, early 2000s, and is actually kind of a sequel to Silver Surfer Rebirth, a book I did about a year or so ago, and this is I guess you could say, the sequel to it. And it's also a sequel in that the title means nothing. Ain't nobody getting reborn in this book. Yeah. Literally, it's called Warlock Rebirth, but not a single fucking soul gets reborn in this book. I tell you this now. There is not a single fucking soul in this goddamn comic that gets reborn. In fact, we have a new character to really focus on. But yeah. So, what is this story about? Well, let me tell you. Because God knows I'm not going to see a lot of people watch this, because I know there's a lot of people out there who give less of a shit about Adam Warlock. But I digress. So the story is about... it starts with Gineas Vale, who is the son of Captain Marvel, who, after the events of Silver Surfer Rebirth... Yeah, like I said, this is a sequel to Silver Surfer Rebirth. And basically what has happened is that Gineas went to Monster Island, where the Infinity Watch is at this time period, and he goes to he wants to go talk to Adam Warlock because he wants to know more about his dad, and Warlock and his father were friends, so maybe he can learn some stuff about him. However, Gineas gets thrown into an adventure with Pip and Gamora when Adam gets visited by a cocoon similar to his own, and out pops a new character, Eve Warlock, who has come to replace Adam. You get it? Her name's Eve, and his name's Adam. You get it? Do you get it? I want to make sure you get it, like Ron Marz did. Anyway, so Eve has basically arrived and is like, "Hey, I'm here to replace you. Get fucked, Adam. And I'm here to take the soul gem from you." But Adam's like, haha, fuck you! So they fight. And I gotta say, Ron Marz and Ron Lim really know how to orchestrate a good fight scene. That's something I'll give this comic, because there's actually some pretty decent fight sequences in here with a lot of the characters. Dude knows how to write and do some good fight choreography in comics. I also like how this comic does feel like early 2000s. Like, Ron Lim's artwork really does feel like, you know, early, late 90s, early 2000s kind of comic in here. So it's no stranger that it's no surprise that it's revealed that the High Evolutionary created Eve to replace Adam. Why? He never gives a proper answer. All he's like is just like, you're here to replace Adam. Why? Fuck you, that's why. There's no, he never, the High Evolutionary doesn't have, he's never explains why he created Eve other than to replace Adam. Which, in retrospect, he didn't really make Adam either, so why are you making Eve and just letting her be like a savior when you had no point to it? They also, this is Adam's book. Don't even bother with Gamora, Pip, and Gineas. They literally play no part other than, like, a goddamn Dragon Ball Z side character, in that they're watching the fight and having no effect in it. They literally are just Dragon Ball Z side characters. It's like a Dragon Ball Z fight, where you have a few characters who have abilities and could probably help in some capacity, but they're just, like, commentating on the fight like it's goddamn Monday Night Football. Yeah, and you could say, oh, but Pip can't help. Gamora, maybe, and Gineas. You forget, Pip does, this is a point when the Infinity Watch had each an Infinity Stone, an Infinity Gem. Gamora has the Time Gem, and they basically even point out, hey, Gamora, you have the Time Gem, you could just reverse time, and Gamora's just like, what, and ruin the plot? She doesn't say that, but that's basically what she says. And Pip does prove useful with using the Space Gem a few times. Gineas plays no role in here other than, hey, I'm just here too. Doctor Strange shows up and he does more, even going into Soul World to find Adam when he's when, you know, he's being broody and pontificating on life, because that's all Adam Warlock's really fucking good for. So he's there, and also there's a moment in here in this comic where Adam gets crucified and he's like, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It is finished. And I'm like, oh, I get it, because he's like Marvel's Jesus. Oh, that's so fucking clever. I'm so glad this comic reminds me that he's supposed to be fucking Space Jesus. Ugh. There is another good thing about this book, I will say. There's a great Spider-Man and Daredevil moment in the beginning of the 5th issue, in this miniseries. It's just a fun moment where Peter and Matt are just sharing a sandwich, and they're just like, you know, talking about, like, so is Kingpin my villain or your villain? And I love the responses like, well, Fisk has tried to kill me more than you have, than he has you, and plus, I don't have a lot of cool villains. You have, like, all the cool ones, and I've got, like, Stilt Man. Let me have Fisk. And then they look over at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and they see, like, lights going off, and they're like, oh, that's pretty fucked up. Anyway. So it's a fun moment between Matt and Peter of them being friends, of just them just enjoying, you know, some company together. I like that. Yeah. And it does end on a to be continued in Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy, which I think is already out in trade. I could be wrong. Yeah, so what did I think of this comic? Like I said, the title is a lie. Adam Warlock is not getting reborn. Ain't nobody getting reborn in this book. Eve is kind of a whatever character. I'm surprised they never did this until now. I'm surprised they never did, like, in any of the Adam Warlock books where they would talk about, like, Eve Warlock. And that makes the most sense. We had, like, the Magus and another female variant of her, of Adam, but she was never called Eve. And now we have to explain what happened to Eve now, because this is a lost era, so Eve is still a character after this. So, I don't know, I'm sure Ron Lim and Ron Mars are building a cool story arc with this, between I guess a Silver Surfer Adam Warlock story in between. And I think Peter David, and I would like to read that, oh, yeah, Guineas Vale Captain Marvel miniseries by Peter David. That would be fun to read. All in all, I would not recommend this unless you're a major, like, Adam Warlock fan, and I know there's only, like, 3 of you out there, so I would say, like, it does have some cool action in here, and it does really invoke a lot of, like, the classic Marvel, like, not like the late 90s, early 2000s Marvel feel to a T, and I really appreciate that. But unless you're, like, a major Adam Warlock fan, yeah, it does nothing for you. It's not going to do anything for you. Although I did like a Silver Surfer Rebirth, and I do want to, I'm curious about Legacy, because Mephisto's in there, and maybe they'll do more with Guineas. Who the fuck knows? Anyway, so once again, Chris, thank you once again for the comic. Other than that, you guys tell me in the comments below if you've read this. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.